Hello again, everyone. My name is James Shotwell, and this is Music Biz. It's so good to be with you again. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, I apologize for the delays in this video. As you can probably see, we recently moved, and we're still getting the new office all put together, but I have a backlog of content that I want to bring you, so let's get right to it. Now, since the last time we spoke, I heard an incredible album from this up-and-coming metal band called Vatican. Now, the record is titled Ultra, and it was recently released on UNFD Records. Lucky for us, Michael Sugars from the band is here to talk about it. So you know what that means? It's time for another Fast Five. In just a few moments, you will hear me chatting with Michael Sugars of Vatican about all things Ultra. We talk about how the album came together, how the group writes their songs and finds their sound, getting together with UNFD, and of course, how they promoted their record. Now, Vatican is not a band that everyone knew 6 months ago, but in recent months, the metal community has really gathered around this group, and that's thanks in part to a bunch of things. Great music, great marketing, strong PR, great fan engagement, and all of those things are going to be covered in this very brief chat with Michael Sugars. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Let's put 5 minutes on the clock and let's go. So the album's been out for a very short amount of time now, but I feel like when I'm online, all I see is positivity. So what's it been like for you since the album release?
A lot of the same. I've seen a literal handful of maybe things that are like meh about the record, which I'm like, hey, if you don't like hate it and you're not like roasting me about it and thinking like this is a pile of garbage, cool. I can take meh and you just not being into it. But it is mostly positive. And like there's also just like a lot of like good reception to songs that I didn't know for sure if like people were gonna like latch on to, but it looks like they are. So I'm like, oh, that's sick.
Yeah, I feel like this record, like the band's been getting hyped for a little bit now, but this record's one that honestly, if I didn't make a calendar for new releases, I would have thought it was out for a while, only because I feel like in the sphere of metal journalism that I exist in online, people have just been talking about it forever. So it was one of those things that it was almost like I had to catch up before it was even out, because all my writer friends were like, "This is the one. You don't want to
Yeah.
be behind," and that doesn't happen that often. So congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel the same. Like, I feel like it's like really been in circulation and like a lot of people talking about it and bringing it up. And that's a good sign because, a band can release something and people talk about it for less than a week and then that's it. Maybe they're still listening, but they just don't talk about it as much.
Yeah, exactly. So now I got to ask you the question that's impossible to answer, which is like, what's the secret sauce? Like, what do you think is different from a year ago with what you guys are doing that like has this energy behind it?
I would, a short version is saying that we went in making exactly what we wanted to, and expectations meant jack shit to us. So we weren't thinking of anyone other than ourselves selfishly and what we wanted to make, and I think that is why it ended up being the kind of release that it is, and having like as much character and in it, and like just being so, I don't know, I think it's like just such a good representation of everyone individually and as a whole, both at the same time. Like, but you can have both and people are able to kind of see it, especially like, the guys in the band.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about kind of figuring out what Vatican is, because something I love about music is when I hear something in my brain, like I can't figure out how you put it together. I understand songwriting, I understand structures, but I listen to this record and I'm like, oh, this is something I can't do. It's like a puzzle I don't know how to put together. So can you tell me a little bit about finding the sound of Ultra?
It is a puzzle, and it is a pretty hard one to navigate, but the trick really to navigating something like making a record in general really is just like being true to the sense of play and saying that you can do whatever you want and anything is on the table to at least try out and see what it sounds like. And that can end up making things that are either like pretty ridiculous and like even funny sometimes, or something that you just like kind of like make the stink face and you're like, damn, this is going hard right now. Like, because there are times where we like we can get like a little like mathy or technical and like really show off. And then there's other times where we just like are knuckle dragging and like just not thinking about it anymore and just giving it to you. So there is definitely a balancing act, and there's a lot of play, but nothing's off the table. That's pretty much it.
It's really incredible. It's everyone always says like it's an unpredictable record, but on a first time listening through, not knowing what to expect other than hearing like hype, it legitimately does that, where I'm like, oh, what's happening now? And by the time you kind of go, okay, you're on to the next idea, which is something I love about it, is that it feels like an album, not purposely necessarily, but how it comes out is it just works for this hyper distracted age of people. Like most of the songs barely break 2.5 minutes or so. And by the time, if you don't like an idea, stick around 30 seconds and the next thing will be on its way.
Exactly. And especially with like the length of the songs being what they are, we all definitely agree. So I don't think a 4-minute or a 5-minute song is inherently bad, but I think very few artists have any business making a song that is that long, not because they're a bad artist or anything like that, but you better have some good shit to make a 5-minute song. And for me not to feel like, okay, this isn't going anywhere or something. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. And there are bands that like Mastodon is allowed to write a 5-minute song. You know what I mean? I'm like that because they get it. And Vatican could totally potentially do something like that in the future. But we were just like, let's just not try and like add any fat, like cut all the fat, be like, this is what we like. Well, it feels pretty done. And it's 2 minutes and 15 seconds in. So that is what it is. Next song.
Yeah, I feel like it's a shrinking pool of talent that can do it or that I want to see do it. It's cool, but I also feel like people sometimes are just trying to make songs that long, and it must be strange for you because a lot of the comparisons that I've seen to your band lately are two bands that write 6-minute songs, which always makes me laugh. Like I see a lot of Meshuggah comparisons and I'm like, mean, yeah, but you could fit all of Ultra on like 4 Meshuggah songs.
It's true. That's 100% true. And I mean, Meshuggah is a pretty obvious comparison because it's our biggest influence. Like we love Meshuggah a lot. So that makes a lot of sense. And those are things that the band's totally capable of and most likely will do as early as, the next release. But that's a while away. We're not even 2 weeks into the record being out. So I'll think about that paragraph of lyrics that I have to painstakingly write when the time comes.
Well, for now, you guys are on the road. You're hitting the road with Alpha Wolf in a little bit, which we talked about before we started this. Tell me, for people at home, because we got to wrap up here, we've hit our time limit. What is the rest of the year like for you?
Busy and doing very awesome tours, supporting a lot of really good bands, such as Alpha Wolf and Body Snatcher. And all of that is unannounced as of right now. But when they do announce, you'll get it and you'll be like, okay, yeah, they're about to go have some fun. But we are going to be touring a lot, and the goal is to just play in front of as many rooms as possible, but also keep it as diverse as possible, because the record can do a lot of different things so that we can cater to a lot of different kinds of crowds. And I kind of want to just flex that and just say, you can put us anywhere. We deserve a seat at the table.
Well, I love to see that. That is a great answer, and we've hit our time. So congratulations. You've made it to the end. I hope it wasn't too painful. Did you at least have a good time?
Yes, it was awesome.
Congrats. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And, I wish you the best on the road. Hope that tonight goes well and that the rest of the year does, even though I don't know what's going to happen.
Yes. It'll be good. It's going to be very good.
Wasn't that great? I want to thank Michael Sugars from the band Vatican for chatting with me about all things Ultra, which again is available right now through UNFD Records. I also want to thank Amy Cioretto from Atom Splitter PR for setting up this opportunity. If you're in need of metal or rock PR, you cannot go wrong with Atom Splitter. Please check them out. Finally, I want to remind you that Music Biz is available all over the internet. So if you don't like watching us on YouTube, you can also watch the show on Spotify. And if you prefer to listen, you can find us anywhere you find podcasts. Just search the Music Biz podcast. You'll see my face. That's me, James Shotwell, and I'll be there to talk with you wherever you prefer to get content. That's all I have this week. Please check back soon. I will be back with more content as we piece this office together. And until then, take care of yourself, because you deserve it.